Today, we will learn and reflect on the latest book by Pulitzer Prize-winning author David Kurtzer, The Pope at War, reflecting on how Pope Pius XII sought to lead the Catholic Church through the difficult years of World War II from behind enemy lines. When Pope Francis opened the complete archives of Pope Pius XII to scholars, there were some surprise revelations, and these surprises included the existence of a back channel of discreet, direct communications between the Pope and Hitler that was so secret that not even the German ambassador to the Vatican knew about it. At the end of our talk, we'll discuss the source we used for this video. Please feel free to follow along in our PowerPoint script posted as SlideShare. Please, we welcome interesting questions in the comments. Let us learn and reflect together. How was this back channel between Hitler and Pope Pius XII set up? Hitler and Mussolini, when, after the death of the troublesome Pope Pius XI, who had publicly criticized the Nazi regime and the persecution of the Jews, Cardinal Pacelli was crowned as the next Pope Pius XII. When he was cardinal, Pope Pius XII had negotiated the Reich Concordat between Nazi Germany and the Vatican. Early in the pontificate of Pope Pius XII, Hitler summoned the Nazi prince Phillip von Hessen to his headquarters to initiate secret talks to see if a deal could be reached with the new pope. Hessen was the ideal intermediary. He had married the daughter of King Victor Emmanuel III, Princess Malfada. Perhaps Philip even joined the SA, the Nazi stormtroopers, and was appointed governor of his home province in Prussia. And near the end of the war, in a tragic turn of events, after the king had deposed Mussolini, Hitler's forces managed to capture Princess Malfada, and she died in the Buchenwald concentration camp. So why did the Pope participate in these secret back-channel talks with Hitler? Likely to safeguard the survival of the Church in those dark times. The history of both the Catholic and the Protestant churches in Nazi Germany and elsewhere suggests that the primary goal of the Church is to guarantee its survival, the freedom of worship, and the freedom to educate the youth in the faith. The record shows that the Pope was eager to reach an agreement with Hitler to safeguard not only the rights of the Church and its members in Germany, but in all Catholic lands of the Third Reich. Even after the invasion of Poland, the Pope was eager to open up talks with Hitler. Now, what did Pope Pius XII demand from Hitler before he would give Hitler the propaganda victory of another public agreement? Kurtzer lists these demands. The Hitler in the attacks against Christianity and the Church in party and state publications, and the withdrawal of particularly offensive past publications. Cessation of anti-Christian and anti-church propaganda targeted at the youth in the school and beyond. Restoration of religious education in schools in accordance with the principles of the Catholic Church and led by church-approved teachers. And the restoration of the Church's freedom to defend itself publicly against public attacks against church doctrine and church organizations. Ceasing the seizure of church property. Importantly, the Pope wanted these talks to continue, and we get the impression that neither Hitler nor Pope Pius XII were eager for these talks to end. One of the goals of the secret talks was to set up a meeting between Pope Pius XII and a problematic visitor, Joachim von Ribbentrop, who was in Hitler's inner circle in March 1940, shortly after the invasion of Poland. As can be expected, Hitler wanted the Pope to offer concessions and live up to his obligations under the Concordat, while Hitler was content only to make promises. Like Napoleon, Ribbentrop was not going to kneel before the Pope, but offered to speak frankly. Kurtzer quotes him as saying that Hitler believed settling their differences was quite possible, but depended on first ensuring that the Catholic clergy in Germany abandoned any kind of political activity, that is, not to offer any criticism, explicit or implicit, of government policies. Ribbentrop noted that Hitler had quashed no fewer than 7,000 indictments of Catholic clergymen, charged with a variety of financial and sexual crimes, and was continuing the government's policy of subsidizing the Church, including paying the clerical salaries. And the Pope responded by saying that much was also being taken away from the Church, including its educational institutions and its properties. In this meeting between Ribbentrop and Pope Pius XII lasted about an hour. The Pope brought up the dreadful restrictions placed on the Catholic Church in Poland. And the Pope, being an able diplomat, said that he did not deny Hitler's good intentions, but the fact was that the German state was waging a war against the Catholic churches, and many Catholic schools had been closed. For his part, Ribbentrop predicted that Germany would surely win the war by the end of 1940. Afterwards, Ribbentrop told the cardinal how pleased he was that Pope Pius XII was eager to reach a solid, long-standing understanding with Hitler, as Hitler wished for the same thing. Now, we could find no pictures of Pope Pius XII posing with Ribbentrop, suggesting that the Vatican had no desire to publicize these talks. David Kurtzer speculates the obvious, that Hitler was stringing the Pope along so he would not criticize the Nazi regime, and these popes did continue after the Ribbentrop visit. But who is stringing along whom? The ugly reports of the Nazi brutality streamed across his desk in real time. You could also forcibly argue that Pope Pius XII was stringing along Hitler, hoping to temper the active persecution of Christians as long as he could. So they were perhaps both stringing the other along for opposing reasons. What is true is that this back channel fizzled out when the tides of war started turning against the Third Reich and the Axis powers. The last secret meeting was in 1941. Now, in our main videos on Pope Pius XII, the Pope at War, we reflected on how the Axis powers blitzkrieged across Europe in the early years of the war, when many expected Germany to quickly defeat England and win the war. And how the Allies turned the tide in the last years of the war, when Hitler's German army occupied Rome for 9 long months. In other videos, we reflect on whether Pope Pius XII should have protested Nazi brutalities more vigorously, and how the experiences of the Catholic Church affected the proceedings and decrees of the Second Vatican Council, called less than 2 decades after the end of the Second World War. And we'll discuss the sources we use for this video. The histories of David Kurtzer read like historical novels. They succeed in bringing you back to the past so you can sense what it was like to live in those years gone by. David Kurtzer is Jewish and is also reflected on the history of anti-Semitism, but he's also a fair and skeptical historian, and in my opinion, he does not have an anti-Catholic bias. We will reflect further on David Kurtzer in his book, The Pope at War, in our final video covering the final years of the war when the Allied forces triumphed over Nazism. The Vatican Press has published a criticism of his account of the back channel between Hitler and the Pope, and this we will also discuss in this last video. And some of our slides are photos of the Holocaust Memorial on Miami Beach, and we have these photos in a Flickr collection. The YouTube description includes a link to our PowerPoint script that we uploaded to SlideShare and also our blog. Please support this channel by sharing this video with your friends and by clicking on the like and subscribe buttons and by clicking on the Amazon links to purchase any of the books we discussed, which will earn us a very small affiliate commission. And please consider becoming a patron of our channel. Plus, we will host special discussion groups for our patrons. Plus, you can click on the Meetup or small M icon to participate in our online discussions, where we practice our future YouTube scripts. And please click on the links for other videos that will broaden your knowledge and improve your soul.